We pilots are different. Different than people on the ground. Different because we have a chance that they don't. We can go places and see things they'll never get to or never see. It's not just being in the air, but it's the effect that that high, lovely, sometimes lonely place has upon us. You're not really living until there is space between you and the earth. When you're chasing the eagles and dancing in the wind, that's real living. It's awesome. It's magic. It's a miracle. Oh yes, we understand the scientific principles and all the rest of it, but it's really hard to grasp, isn't it? It's really amazing. And that's what makes us all pilots. The highest art form of all is a human being in control of himself or herself and his or her plane in flight, urging the spirit of the machine to match their own. The two greatest men that ever lived were, of course, Wilbur and Orville Wright, because they gave us, as human beings, real freedom.
Ever since I was very small, I grew up in World War II and was too young for that great adventure, but I was always interested in aviation. I was the kid in the back of the room that was always drawing pictures of airplanes instead of doing his math.
Originally, my father was in the Air Force. He got his pilot's license long before I was born, maybe about a year or so. And I just, between him and everything else, I just kind of grew up with it. He would fly around various small towns as like a salesman, and I would just go along with him. You know, and I get to sit up in the front seat and go, wow, you know.
I had a very personal reason for getting interested in flying. My husband-to-be was a pilot, and I decided that if we were going to have any stimulating dinner conversation, I'd also have to learn to be a pilot. It took me about a year to get my license, and I don't regret a minute of my flying experience.
When I got out in the Air Force, I got addicted to flying, and flying is very easy to get addicted to, I think. A lot of people have got addicted on just one flight.
I had an interesting experience yesterday. I visited Lindbergh Memorial, and next to Charles Lindbergh in a picture stood my uncle, and that's how I got my interest. Almost from the time I could walk, I had an interest in aviation.
Back in the 1950s, the Missouri Pilots Association was formed as a group of people just interested in aviation.
The Missouri Pilots Association was founded about 30 years ago, and the purpose, of course, is to promote and work to improve aviation in the state of Missouri. Our members include all pilots. They might be students, they could be commercial pilots, airline pilots. We've had airline captains as presidents of our organization, but we don't have any specific thing that we do. We do everything that we can.
A few years ago, one of our members, Arnold Zimmerman, decided that there was a need for an association of state pilot associations so that we could band together and have a little more political clout.
Well, the idea came to us because we felt the need for state organizations to coordinate between themselves. There aren't groups in every state, and when we started this, probably a half a dozen states had state organizations. And having been from Missouri and a very active state pilots association, I felt that it was important to have the same kind of groups in other states, and there was no group to do that, so that was really the impetus for the USPA.
You know, the USPA is a grassroots organization on the local level and not necessarily on the national level. We do work with AOPA, we work with other organizations, and we do things on the national level.
As long as there have been pilots, there's never been an organization that started from the grassroots and worked up in terms of ideas and the way that the enthusiasm builds. The existing organizations start from a national level and filter down. With the United States Pilots Association, we truly are grassroots. Our work is done with the local airports, with the local aviation authorities, and we solve local problems. We leave it to the 99s, we leave it to AOPA to deal with a lot of the national issues. Our congressional representatives know where we as USPA members stand, but we feel that our strength is to solve local problems at local airports for local pilots.
Of course, the grassroots concept of aviation is very important because the airports are at the local communities. And the airport is the lifeblood of an aviator, you know. You have to have, it's like the highway into the community. A community without an airport is a community without access to aviation. And so pilots need to work together at the local level. This is where they can get things done. They know their city fathers, they know their local politicians, and by working together, they can enjoy the camaraderie of aviation. So that's one of our big things, is to keep the grassroots alive and well organized.
First of all, our main objectives are safety and education, and we as USPA members sponsor safety seminars.
Aviation is something that has to have education to go with it. It's a very, very safe mode of transportation if you stay within the safety limits, within the limits of safety on it.
We have very important feelings about safety, and everyone has safety, but they look at it from different directions. When we're able to get together and propose safety things, that we have much more influence by being an organization.
We have approached our accident prevention specialists. We work with them. We work with the FAA in sponsoring every safety seminar that takes place in the districts in which we have strong chapters. And that's the essence of, we feel, of how accidents are prevented in the air. We have a lot of fun at our activities. We have parties. But we have a very serious side also, and that is to keep the pilot who's up in the air as safe as that pilot can possibly be. And all we can do is hope that all the other pilots in the air are also members of an organization that believes strongly in safety, so that we're all safe pilots up there.
But the young pilot, by becoming a member of this organization or any other state or national organization, now becomes a voice in the system that he is going to have to work in. And rather than just sitting back and receiving letters that will tell him you're going to do this or this or this, he has the opportunity to know what's going to happen beforehand, and he also has the opportunity to have a voice in the system and have an impact on what the federal government is going to do to him.
The benefits are not only just for legislation. You get a lot of family fly-ins and things within the state. You get to meet other pilots within your own state.
I get to talk to the people who've been in the business for a long time. I get to hear from other pilots, and I can find out, if all else, just what mistakes they made and how I can avoid them.
It's important to get involved in any aviation organization. The USPA probably is one of the largest. It's got state organizations and chapters at a local level. It's very easy to become involved with, and they should do it if they're going to fly at all.
Pilots are just a unique, I think, a wonderful group of people.